It amazes me to see what man has created. But have you ever considered who the greatest builders are on Earth? Some will say the Egyptians. Others say the Aztecs or the Incas. Well, actually, the greatest builders on Earth are certain members of the animal world. And they've been creating masterpieces of design for millions of years. Some build vast underground cities that surpass any subway systems built by man. Other creatures accomplish the impossible by constructing communities in the sky. Even our inland waterways are dotted with architectural designs that rival man's own. The creatures we will meet follow blueprints handed down through generations of their species. Who are these magnificent creatures? Well, during the next half hour, we'll explore the world of the animal architects, and you'll get to meet these master builders of the planet. Oh, watch the show closely, because in a while we're going to give you a chance to have a little fun by playing Animal Quiz.
Where man has set his hand upon the earth, great cities have arisen, proud symbols in concrete and steel of the towering achievements of our modern civilization. Yet 100 million years ago, long before our forebears first left the shelter of their caves, other cities flourished here, cities very different from our own. Today, across the savannas of Africa, march the monuments of the hidden monarchs of the earth, the termites, builders of the world's earliest known civilization. Like some futurist condominium, each mound supports a population numbering nearly 2 million, a vast megalopolis totally dedicated to the preservation of the community as a whole. Here in the city of the great mound-building termites, each citizen belongs to a specific caste, and each has a job to do. An important duty of the workers is the construction and repair of the nest. Material is a mixture of soil and saliva, packed into place by the workers' mouths. But the end result is as solid as concrete, a castle of earth that may soar 20 feet high and endure for half a century. Guided only by instinct, the termite workers construct a complex network of tunnels and special-purpose chambers. Some of these are used as hothouses for the cultivation of a special fungus vital to the termite's survival. A symbiotic relationship exists between the insects and the fungus, for the fungus cannot grow on the arid savanna, and the termites need the fungus to aid in the digestion of cellulose in their woody diet. In addition, by generating heat through fermentation, the fungus supplies the power to drive an elaborate ventilation system that maintains a constant climate in the termite city. While the workers tend the fungus gardens, members of the soldier caste stand guard over the colony's natural resources. Nearby in the royal chamber, the queen resides. Once she has mated, she will do nothing else throughout her life but produce eggs. As her ovaries grow, the queen's abdomen swells, and in 50 years of a fertile life, she may mother a 500 million progeny. nursemaid termites, assigned to the queen's quarters, tirelessly groom and feed their monarch and bear away the precious eggs to special incubation chambers. Here the larvae are transformed by the miracle of metamorphosis, emerging at last from the pupal stage as albino termite nymphs. Whether a fertile queen develops or a sterile worker or soldier depends upon the needs of the colony and is determined through a hormone fed to the nymphs by the nursery attendants. The world of the termite is so well structured that of all the civilizations on Earth, theirs may be the one best suited to survive. Although the citizens of the termite city might never venture past the frontier of their metropolis, their influence is felt throughout the natural community. The termite towers provide a secure home for burrowing creatures like the African mongoose and the monitor lizard. And even the antelopes of the plains may find refuge here amid the incredible monuments of nature's oldest engineers and architects. The dry acacia scrub of East Africa is the ancestral home of a phenomenal family of avian architects, the birds acclaimed as the best nest builders in the world. The white-browed sparrow weaver is one of over 120 species of weaver finches found across Africa. Each species in the family has fascinating characteristics of its own. But most of the members of the clan share at least one trait in common. They are all weavers par excellence. From leaves, twigs, and grass, the birds fashion expertly engineered nests to meet the demands of the natural environment. Amid the cocoa palms of the tropical African coast lives the golden palm weaver, one of the most colorful members of its clan, and one of the most accomplished of all the nest builders. Using a strand of palm fronds stripped from the tree, the male weaver begins its nest, wrapping, knotting, and weaving the strip back and forth to form a sturdy basket. It's essential that the structure be strong to support the weight of the nestlings and to withstand stiff monsoon winds. Occasionally, the nest is placed close to a hive of hornets to discourage marauding tree snakes and monkeys. But the best defense against predators is the design of the nest itself, with the entrance situated safely out of reach on the bottom. Each of the more than 100 species of weavers approaches the problem of nest design in its own unique way. The more recently evolved varieties specialize in the most elaborate structures. Some of the fancier versions may require as many as 300 separate strands of palm. Completing the nest is the task of the weaver's mate, who furnishes the inner chamber with a cushion of fine grass to make the quarters comfortable for her offspring. A single palm may support a colony of dozens of pairs of the gregarious golden palm weavers. But when it comes to communal behavior, few birds can match the black-headed weaver, the champion nest builder of them all. Wherever large trees grow in Africa, a colony of black-headed weavers may be found, occupied throughout the year in an irrepressible fury of nest building. In the course of a single season, each male may build several nests for a succession of different mates, beginning a new home as soon as the last is completed. Inevitably, under the circumstances, disputes flare up, for the supply of nesting sites and materials is limited, and the squabbling of the combatants has disrupted the tranquility of many an African village. The uncanny skill of the weavers in constructing nests of strands tied together by knots would seem to require that the bird possess a generous measure of intelligence. But like the mound-building termites, the weaver's skills are the product of instinct, transmitted from generation to generation through the genes of the parents. So over 1 million years of evolution and adaptation, the industrious weaver birds have perfected their amazing architectural achievements. Few creatures have been more intensively studied than the honeybee, the most useful of all insects to man. But aside from its practical value, the honeybee has always been a source of endless fascination, for it is one of the most incredible architects in all the animal world. Long before the age of technology, man studied the ways of these insects to learn the secrets of effective structural design. Each new colony is founded by a queen bee, attended by a swarm of as many as 30,000 female workers, and the site is chosen only after a thorough search of potential locations. Using wax secreted from an abdominal gland, the workers construct a nest that combines great strength with elegant simplicity. Though the bees possess no knowledge of geometry, their design, based on a grid of hexagonal cells, cannot be improved upon by all the resources of modern technology. Each of the cells in the hive is built for a specialized purpose. These are intended as storage receptacles for nectar and pollen, gathered by field workers from nearby flowers. In the nest, the hive workers concentrate the nectar to produce honey, the main source of carbohydrates in the diet of the colony. Tiny baskets on the hind legs of the field workers transport pollen to the nest, where it too is transferred to storage cells. The pollen is rich in protein, and when mixed with honey, produces a nutritious food. Nearly 2 pounds of these provisions may be stored by the colony in a single day, the result of over 5 million separate foraging trips. When full, the food cells are capped with wax until the day when the supplies may be required. Another section of the hive is utilized for the incubation of honey bee larvae. In these cells, the future workers are nursed on pollen and honey, while nearby, in special conical cells, the young queens are raised. Unlike the workers, the queens are gorged on a diet of royal jelly, a high-potency food produced by the royal attendants. But only one queen may reign in the hive, and with an excited dance, a scout tells the workers of a prospective site for a brand new colony. And so the cycle of life proceeds in the amazing world of the honeybee, the most intriguing of all the insect architects. It's commonly assumed that man has done more than any other species to alter the face of the earth. But that distinction is challenged by a humble creature considered by many the foremost engineer of the animal world. In Europe and North America, the course of great rivers and the pattern of valleys and forests has been altered forever by the untiring efforts of an industrious rodent, the beaver. As a direct result of its natural inclination for building its own freshwater ponds, the beaver has left an indelible mark upon all the world around it. With its mighty incisors, a beaver can fell a sapling in less than 10 minutes. The bark and the smaller branches are utilized on the spot as food, and the surplus is employed in the heroic task of constructing the beaver dam. Dense timber is favored as a building material, since it sinks readily to the bottom of the stream. And fortunately, the trees most useful to the beavers are those of least value to the pulp and paper industry. Beaver dams come in a wide range of models and sizes, from those just a foot or two in length to great causeways 500 yards long and 12 feet high. Normally, a pair of beavers working together can construct an average-sized dam in 3 or 4 nights of uninterrupted labor. Mud dredged from the bottom is mixed with the leaves to provide a durable, watertight mortar. Although the beaver is universally extolled as a paragon of industry and ingenuity, its actual intelligence is just half that of a dog or a horse. The amazing engineering accomplishments of the beaver are therefore all the more incredible. Like the bees, the termites, and the weaver birds, the beaver owes its success to age-old patterns dictated by instinct. In the backwaters of the pond, a new brood of young is raised, and soon they will assume the perennial task of rebuilding and repairing the dam. But the beavers are not alone in reaping the rewards of their labors, for the area serves as a sanctuary for a host of wild creatures. Here in the quiet waters of the pond, the Canada goose finds ample food and shelter. raccoon, too, forages by the shore for frogs and crayfish that dwell in the pond. And the moose may graze amid the lush meadows of water plants. A Cherokee legend has it that long ago, the beaver built the earth from the waters of the primeval sea. And there may be a kernel of truth in that old story. For the enterprising architects, the beavers, have labored endlessly to reshape the features of the continents, tirelessly building and rebuilding in obedience to the dictates of nature's time-tested designs.
We've looked at the architectural wonders of the honeybee in creating his own home in complex society. But what do you think we'd find if we forgot his stinger and took an objective look? A miraculous little creature who renders an invaluable service, not only to his own hive, but to mankind as well. For in truth, as a result of his activity, the honeybee is one of our best friends. So let's see what else we can find out about him. Did you ever wonder what attracts bees in their foraging flights? Why would a bee choose one of these flowers over another? Well, the field bees are attracted to flowers by smell, taste, and sight. Mostly sight. Bees can see things that humans can't. They have ultraviolet vision, and certain flowers appear to have patterns of darker color near the center. The ultraviolet patterns lead the bees to the nectar, and they're called nectar guides. This makes kind of a landing pad for the bee to home in on. And then with the pollen clinging to their bodies as they travel from flower to flower, the bees do something very important for us. Do you know what that is? The fertilization of plants, but most especially our food crops. Honeybees are almost the universal pollinator. They're used by farmers. By placing hives like this one in the fields with our crops, the work of the honeybee can be directed somewhat, and we all benefit. The bee can collect his pollen and nectar, and our crops are fertilized. Now that you've seen some interesting animal architects at work, here's your chance to play Animal Quiz. I'm going to ask you some questions, and just for fun, see if you know the answers. Starting with our friend the honeybee. Tiny baskets on the hind legs of the field worker transport a substance to the hive, which is then transferred to storage cells. What is this substance? A, is it pollen? B, honey? Or C, wax? The correct answer is pollen. The bees keep pollen in the storage cells for future use as food. Okay, let's take another look at this incredible little creature. Honey is the main source of protein for a colony of bees. True or false? Well, that answer is false. Honey is the main source of carbohydrates for the hive, while the pollen is rich in protein. How you doing so far? How about some of the other animal architects we saw on the show? Let's take a look at the diligent weaver bird. The golden palm weaver is one of the 125 species of weaver finches found across Africa. The male uses strands of palm in constructing his nest. Now, how many strands does he use? A, is it 50? B, 300? Or C, 450? Well, the correct answer is 300. Each of these strands is knotted and woven intricately to form the nest. I've always been fascinated by the inhabitants of the African savanna, but most especially by the termites. A symbiotic relationship exists between the mound-building termites and the fungus they cultivate. What is a symbiotic relationship? A, they make each other sick. B, they feel compassion for each other. Or C, they live together with benefit to both. The correct answer is C. The termites need the fungus to aid their digestion, and the fungus could not survive without the protection of the mound. Well, if you've answered all the questions correctly so far, you're really paying attention. Remember the industrious beaver? Let's take another look and see if you can answer these questions. Beaver dams are uniform in size and design. Is that true or false? The answer is false. Beaver dams come in all sizes, from a foot or two to 500 yards long and 12 feet high. Now, the last question in our animal quiz. To which family does the beaver belong? A, reptile, B, rodent, or C, marsupial? The correct answer is rodent, making the beaver a cousin to squirrels and groundhogs, among others. I hope you did well answering these questions and enjoyed playing Animal Quiz. As you can see, there are some amazing parallels between man and some of the creatures with whom we share this planet. We learned a lot from the animal architects. Thanks for joining us, and remember, be kind to animals. It's good for everybody. What walks silently on soft, padded feet, can swim, see in the dark, and has a coat that camouflages him in the jungle? To Spanish-speaking people, he is El Tigre. Our name for him comes from an Indian word that means wild beast that overcomes its prey in one bound. He's been hunted by ranchers to protect their livestock and by men who want his spotted coat. He once roamed the American Southwest, but now is rarely found there. He's called the Great Spotted Cat. Have you guessed who he is? Well, stay with us and we'll find out. And when I return, you'll get a chance to meet this mysterious creature and have some fun playing Animal Quiz.
The jaguar is the least known and most mysterious of the great cats. So much does he treasure his privacy. Solitary and cautious animals, the female seeks out a quiet place to raise her young. Here in the Mexican desert, her two cubs lead a carefree life, learning about their world and the creatures that inhabit it. When full grown, they will have the power to pull a turtle's shell apart. But at 3 months, the cubs have neither the strength nor the desire to attack. They're more interested in playing. As they frolic, however, they begin to learn the skills which make the adult jaguar the swiftest and most efficient predator of the American cats. Born blind and helpless, even at this age, the cubs depend on their mother for food and protection. But they've grown up enough to explore on their own. So while his brother gets acquainted with the turtle, the other cub embarks on a new adventure. Unlike most cats, jaguars like the water. The cub will grow up to be an agile swimmer using his watery prowess to catch fish and other prey. But at this age, even a turtle has the upper hand with a jaguar cub. His hard shell is like armor against kittenish play. Cavorting in the water, his brother seems to be having all the fun. The turtle's passive but effective resistance eventually wins out over the cub's enthusiastic investigation. For 18 months, the cub will enjoy an idyllic life. Then he must leave his mother's protection and find his own territory to hunt in. Except for occasional encounters to mate, he will live by himself, replacing his inquisitive friendliness with cautious solitude. But while he's young, El Tigre will have many encounters. This one is most unique, for rarely does the tiger come face to face with a bear. Each animal is a source of wonder and curiosity to the other. The ever-observant mother jaguar is ready, if need be, to protect her cub. But the youngster has a few ideas of his own. The cub safe, she returns to her lair to keep an eye on their antics. And it seems like the fun has just begun for the curious little tiger. Once again, the young cat's been outsmarted. But it's only a game to him. By the time he must hunt in order to survive, he'll be able to attack with lightning speed. The jaguar's very name means the cat that kills with a single spring. El Tigre has a reputation as an efficient killer with great cunning and remarkable strength. Yet, with her cubs, the female is as attentive and gentle as any mother. Because the cubs grow up rather slowly, they require considerable training before they will be able to fend for themselves. The mother mates only every 2 years, so she can devote all her time to rearing her young. It's a full-time job being a mother to these cubs with their inexhaustible source of mischievous energy. Even now, they aren't ready to settle down, and one soon silently sneaks away. When a jaguar cub is only 3 months old, everything is fascinating, including a wagging tail. The mother jaguar is used to her cubs wandering off and encourages their growing independence. They usually don't stray far away. Today, however, the cubs are to embark on a journey which will take them to places they have never been before. Eager and spirited, they seek adventure, but danger is what lies ahead. El Tigre's desert home reaches up to the southern borders of Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas. But the jaguars remaining in this arid region rarely venture there from Mexico. For south of the border, there are fewer people to disturb them, and the cats have learned that man's presence can be a threat. To the inexperienced cubs, however, the fence marking the boundary between Arizona and Mexico means nothing. It is just one more new sight in a world full of fresh experiences. Unaware her cubs are so far away, their mother now goes in search of them. Meanwhile, the youngsters have found there's a whole universe to explore on the other side of the fence. As she searches for her cubs, the jaguar's muscular yet graceful movements reveal the qualities which Indians in her domain feared and respected for centuries. California Indians, for instance, depended on the cat's prowess for their own food, following its trail in order to dig up its buried kills. Others, such as the ancient Aztecs, considered the jaguar sacred, adorning their temples with its image. Impressed by its size and strength, they made the cat a god with the power to cause eclipses by swallowing the sun. The young jaguar has little of the lethal power of the adult. Yet, with this desert snake, he already demonstrates the courage of a tiger. The second cub, however, prefers to watch his brother's bravery from a safe distance. His curiosity soon gets the better of him, and he climbs down for a closer look. But the contest is unpredictable. So it's back to safety until the snake leaves. The mother jaguar determinedly maintains her search. The cubs have wandered far, but she will not give up until she finds them, so strong is the cat's protective maternal instinct. Finally, she nears the border, but hesitates to cross into the more populated land of Arizona. She knows this fence means the presence of her only enemy, civilized man. Unlike the Indian, ranchers considered the cats a threat. They hunted them down until the jaguar all but disappeared from the southwest. So although the land on the other side of this fence appears the same, it differs in one important respect. It is owned by man. But a mother looking for her young will brave even this potentially hostile land. The signs of man are soon followed by man himself. Ranchers in the area must constantly patrol this wild land for any danger to their cattle. Yet the jaguar will only attack man if provoked. Left alone, she will stay out of man's sight if at all possible. But if necessary, she must put her own safety after that of her cubs. Still far from man or their mother, the cubs frolic through the strange desert garden and meet its fascinating animals. Although it appears devoid of life, the desert can sustain many creatures, such as this reptile, the Gila monster. When the Gila monster leaves, there is still much to amuse the little tigers. They try their growing agility on the nearby rocks, honing the natural skills they will use as adults. For them, every place is worth exploring. Every activity is a game, and every horizon promises a new adventure. On the arid desert, the mighty cougar is second only to the jaguar. Leading as solitary a life as the spotted cat, it is wary of intruders in its territory. Once roaming over all the Americas, the cougar has also been hunted by man until it is threatened with extinction. Those few remaining have retreated into the most isolated wilderness. Unaware of the cougar, the jaguar nears the end of her search. This is a welcome sight. After she gives it a gentle rebuke for having strayed away, they continue on together in search of the other youngster.
The family is at last together, ready to start for home. But the cougar suddenly confronts the spotted cat. Among themselves, cats rarely fight to kill. Demonstrating their power in ritualized gestures, one usually acknowledges the other's superiority and retreats. In this case, the outcome is an uneasy truce. So evenly matched are the two cats. But their common enemy, man, is not far away. Close enough, in fact, for the dogs to pick up their scent. Barking warns the cats of approaching danger. Instinctively, the cougar heads for cover. Years of being hunted by man has made the cougar so adept at hiding, he's been called the Great American Ghost. The cubs patiently wait for their mother to return. On top of his rocky fortress, the cougar has successfully evaded man and his dog. But the scent of the jaguar is still strong. Now they must follow their mother to safety. Ironically, this time, man has not set out to hunt the jaguar. Simply on a routine inspection, the rancher is surprised by his dog's activity, which usually means the presence of a big cat. The young cubs cannot run very fast. The dogs will soon overtake them. Here, open season on jaguars occurred 100 years ago. So successful were these hunts, today's ranchers almost never see the big cat. Suddenly, he sees the object of his dog's excitement. It is indeed the rare jaguar.
By confronting the dog, the jaguar gives her young time to get away. Hunting dogs can be a serious threat, even to the strong and agile jaguar. For if she attacks one, the others will gang up on her. All she can do is keep them at bay until she has a chance to escape. Distracting the dogs, the rancher gives the jaguar her chance to get away. The jaguar has not preyed on any livestock. There is no reason to kill it. And so the rancher lets the jaguar and her cubs return to Mexico. It's been a long and eventful day for the cats. Now safe in their home territory, the cubs can hardly keep their eyes open. Sadly, few places remain where El Tigre can survive today. This is one, a wild desert haven for the tiger of the New World.
Well, by now you know who our mystery animal is, the jaguar. Isn't he beautiful? He certainly is. Did you know that the jaguar has been the subject of myth and superstition among the Indians of the jungle for centuries? Some even believe that chiefs and medicine men can be transformed into jaguars after death. It sounds incredible to us, but jaguars do some amazing things to inspire these superstitions. For instance, would you say that there is a cat that is actually fond of water? Well, the jaguar is. People have reported them doing some pretty wild things in the water. There's a story that an Indian was paddling his canoe down a river and spotted a jaguar swimming toward him. He just took a mild interest in it because he'd seen jaguars swim many times. But suddenly, he looked down and the jaguar was climbing into the canoe with him. Boy, was he amazed. He didn't stop to think about it very long. He just jumped overboard and let the jaguar have his canoe. Well, it's a great story. But the jaguar does some other remarkable things as well. For example, did you know that they can fish? Some jaguars have actually been known to scoop a fish out of the water with a paw and throw it onto the bank. Well, I think I know who my next fishing partner will be. That's right. Now, how about getting started on Animal Quiz? Just for fun, try to answer these questions and see how close you are to being a jaguar expert. The jaguar is known by different names to different people. In Mexico, he is known as El Tigre. What does jaguar mean? A, cat that hunts at night. B, cat that kills in a single spring. Or C, great spotted cat. Well, you're absolutely right if you said B, cat that kills in a single spring. Well, I'm still trying to get him to give me some fishing tips. He doesn't seem too excited about it. I'm going to keep trying while you try to answer these questions, okay? The Aztecs were so impressed with the size and strength of the jaguar that they made the cat a god. What power did they think the jaguar had? A, to carry the earth on his shoulders. B, to wear a harness and pull the moon up at night. Or C, to cause eclipses by swallowing the sun. The answer is C. They really thought the jaguar had the power to cause eclipses. We have science to explain our mysteries to us, but the Aztecs had to find the best explanation they could. And watching a jaguar in action, you just might believe he's strong enough to do it. Now let's see if you can answer this next question. The jaguar isn't the only large cat on the American continent. Sometimes he even comes face to face with a cat called the American ghost. What is the American ghost? Is it A, cougar, or B, bobcat, or C, Casper? Well, if you said cougar, you're right. He is a solitary hunter and so adept at hiding from man that he's earned his nickname. Speaking of names, can you answer this question about the great spotted cat? As you know, the jaguar is known as El Tigre. What is a tigrero? A jaguar cub, B, a jaguar hunter, or C, a Siberian exile? If you answered B, you're correct. Ranchers will often hire tigreros to track down any spotted cat on their land. Now here's your last animal quiz question. Jaguar cubs need to stay with their mothers for a period of time to learn to hunt and fend and fish for themselves. How long do the cubs stay with their mothers? Is it A, 6 months, or B, 12 months, or C, 18 months? The correct answer is C, 18 months. Then the cub must leave his mother's protection and find his own territory to hunt in. I hope you enjoyed playing Animal Quiz as much as I did. As you've seen, the jaguar is an incredible animal and certainly beautiful. He's revered and feared in his own domain, but the future of the jaguar, like so many of our friends in the animal world, is uncertain at best. They are extinct in many places they once called home. They need many people like you to care about their futures so that they may have one. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next time. And remember, be kind to animals. It's good for everybody. know what reptile is clever enough to prey on humans, strong enough to bring down a buffalo, yet gentle and devoted to its offspring? Well, I'll give you a hint. It's been around for 170 million years, has a terrible reputation, and when floating in the Nile resembles a log. Did you guess the crocodile? Well, you're right. But the Nile crocodile no longer flourishes in Egypt, nor much of Africa for that matter. In the last 40 years, most species of crocodilians have been brought to the edge of extinction. Although most governments of Africa have ended organized hunting, poaching continues. But at least one protected population of crocodiles located in Uganda is doing well. And that's where we're going now. Later we'll see how much you remember when we play Animal Quiz. So hang on, here we go.
This land is Uganda, known as the cradle of the Nile. There is no river like the Nile. Along the banks of this sometimes placid, sometimes turbulent river, some of the world's greatest civilizations have developed and vanished. But the river itself has an eternal quality. In ages gone by, crocodiles lived in profusion along the Nile. That was when Africa was still the dark continent, and its only roads were rivers. Today, those great assemblages of creatures have almost disappeared. Crocodiles are becoming very rare all over Africa, but here in Murchison Falls Park, they are protected. And the density of crocodile population enjoying the Nile waters is about what it was in the days before rifles came to the river. Three-quarters of all the eggs are laid in January. About 84 days later, the baby crocs hatch. When they're newly hatched, the young are reluctant to enter the water, and without guidance, they tend to stay around the nest. So the mother leads the young to a nursery site in a creek or backwater, where there's seclusion and cover. Here, she'll guard her young in their watery nursery for a period of 12 weeks. During this time, she is fiercely active in defending her hatchlings against any possible intruders. Although they are so-called cold-blooded creatures, crocodiles maintain a fairly constant body temperature by varying their behavior during the day. They spend the night in the water, and just before sunrise, they go ashore to bask in the sunshine for a couple of hours. Then they go back into the water or into the shade. In the afternoon, they again bask in the sun for 2 or 3 hours. At this stage, the basking babies still need the protection of their mother close by to guard them from predatory birds. Crocodiles are superbly equipped for living in the water. But they're not the only life supported by the Nile. Its waters and banks are home to many members of the animal world. Water is both protection and privacy to the hippopotamus, one of the genuinely distinctive African animals. They spend their days in the river or basking on its mud banks and only go ashore at night to eat. While the great herds of wildlife are declining over most of the face of Africa, here with the sustenance of the river and the protection of the park, the animals are thriving.
Baboons are one of the most deadly enemies the crocodiles have, for they will dig out and destroy whole clutches of eggs. The monitor lizards account for the destruction of an even larger number of eggs. Normally, female crocodiles guard their nests ferociously through the 12-week incubation period. Predation by egg-eating enemies can occur only when a nest has been abandoned by the mother, for the predators wouldn't dare tangle with a mature croc. But with ever-increasing disturbances by humans in the park, about 55% of all clutches are being destroyed. Today, people who care are viewing the future of these prehistoric creatures with grave concern. Dr. Hugh B. Cott came to Uganda from England to conduct studies on crocodile ecology. Until the results of his observations were published, everything people knew about this creature was based on hearsay and some fragmentary observations of zoologists. But Dr. Cott has spent years here, studied the animals and the river, and given a clear picture of the croc's natural history. His research is a continuing process, and with the help of the park rangers, he adds to it day by day. This is one of the main crocodile nesting sites. Egg laying begins about mid-December, reaches its peak in January, and declines sharply in February. The embryos develop best when the ground humidity is low. Several old sites were deserted this year because the earth was too damp. One of the most fascinating things Dr. Cott has discovered is that the newly hatched young in the nest pit actually call the mother, who helps them emerge by pushing away the soil that covers them. If the female has been disturbed by humans and forced to desert her nest, the babies cannot escape, and their birthplace becomes a tomb. The incubation period of the eggs is 11 to 13 weeks. When it emerges, the baby croc weighs only a few ounces. But these tiny creatures have the potential of growing into Africa's most feared man-eaters, for crocodiles are the greatest killers of human beings on this continent. The young crocs measure about 12 inches. When fully mature, they may reach lengths of up to 20 feet. The young eat insects and other invertebrates which they catch at the water's edge. In the middle years, they feed underwater. Mature crocs eat mammals, birds, and smaller crocodiles. Dr. Cott records the size and location of each clutch, when the eggs were laid, and eventually when they hatch. This is part of the third survey he has done on crocodiles at the request of the director of Uganda's national parks. The crocodiles are holding their own within the park at present, but just barely. The authorities are dreaming of a day when the population might start to increase and rivers barren of the animals be restocked. And they're looking for a way to accomplish it. So they're experimenting with a pilot hatchery program. The idea is to eventually set up a predator-proof field hatchery where 1,000 eggs per year could be hatched and the babies fed and protected for 12 months. By that time, when they would be released, the crocs would measure 2 feet and be well equipped to defend themselves against natural enemies. Productivity along this stretch of the Victorian Nile amounts to about 10,000 eggs per annum. At present, a few eggs are being hatched under controlled conditions, and the babies are getting lots of attention and the best of care. The waters and banks of the Nile within the Murchison Falls Park area must constantly be kept under surveillance, for there is always the possibility of poachers here. The parks were created for people to observe the wildlife, as well as a sanctuary to preserve the various species. The visitors' interest has been benevolent, and any disturbance they've created unintentional. Another factor in the decline of the crocodile has been firearms. But in the last few years, the leather trade has been ransacking the world for reptile hides. No species has suffered more than the crocodiles, and poaching of these creatures has reached incredible proportions. It is believed that with proper management, the Nile crocodile could be raised and maintained as a stable source of leather. This would stave off ruin for the reptile leather industry, which is presently committing suicide by destroying its raw materials. It would also greatly lessen poaching in the national parks. In the meantime, rangers must patrol to protect the animals from poachers. Most poaching activities take place after dark. It's a tough job policing the river, and the possibility of coming face to face with a poacher who may be willing to take any risk is always there. But these men know they're helping to save a species, and they think it's worth the risk. 2,000 miles from Murchison Falls Park, Ranger Gordon Forrest is involved in the same kind of struggle. Here in South Africa, at Lake St. Lucia, the problems are a little different, but the goal is the same: to save the crocodiles and other wildlife. Great flocks of flamingos migrate here yearly and settle on the water like lovely pink and white clouds. They're all that's left of the fantastic array of bird life that once populated Lake St. Lucia. The lake was famous for the beauty and variety of birds that came here, but it has become progressively more salty, and of the birds, only the flamingos can withstand the saline water. There are still many animals here, though, and Gordon is constantly checking on their well-being. Crocodiles have a tremendous tolerance for salt water and can easily withstand the lake's waters, though they're now 4 times saltier than the sea. But Gordon must deal with 2 other ever-present menaces to the croc population: poachers and predators. The reaction of most human beings to any sort of reptile is revulsion and fear. Perhaps this is why so many crocodiles were senselessly killed in the early days of African exploration. But men like Gordon know that they're members of a complex ecosystem, a necessary part of the natural organization of animal and plant life. The fish they consume are primarily predatory species, so the health of the fish population as a whole is best when crocodiles are around. Their movements help to keep water channels open, and they fertilize the water, making it more productive. Where they've been eliminated, the crab population usually increases and does great damage to fish eggs and fry. So there are many good practical reasons why the crocodile must be preserved. Something has disturbed a nest here. Gordon checks to see if there are other undamaged eggs in the clutch. He finds there are. Their hatching time should be very soon. He carefully replaces the egg and covers it. Aside from poachers, the human disturbance factor here differs from that in the Murchison Falls area. Instead of tourists coming on launches to see the crocs, here it's fishermen in noisy motorboats crowding the lake every Sunday. But each season, a certain percentage of eggs manages to hatch, largely thanks to the efforts of the rangers. Newly hatched crocs sometimes use mother's face to bask on, or a nearby bank where she can keep her eye on them. This is the period when the crocodile needs protection most of all. Within a few weeks, they will be fierce enough to hold their own. All the recent experiments on nesting behavior and aftercare point to the fact that the females need to be undisturbed on their nesting grounds. The problem of disturbance by tourists is being solved, but the other more insidious problem remains, the poaching problem.
This will take new cooperation and understanding on the part of governments, the leather industry, and the consuming public. Crocodilians, of which crocodiles are one species, are the last surviving reptilian descendants of the stock that also produced the dinosaur. Today, man must decide whether or not they will have a future.
I'm here at the Buena Park Alligator Farm with a cousin of the crocodile, the alligator. You know, for 200 million years, reptiles dominated the earth, from the smallest lizard to the gigantic brontosaurus. The golden age of reptiles ended, and the dinosaurs disappeared. As a matter of fact, comparatively few species survived this reptilian holocaust. But the crocodilians did survive, almost unchanged for 150 million years. Probably the best known of the infamous family is the Nile crocodile. It is the classic crocodile, the one that cried when he finished off Captain Hook in Peter Pan. And speaking of crying, do you know where the term crocodile tears comes from? Well, the tale goes that this toothy reptile moans and sighs like a person in deep trouble. This lures passing travelers to their doom. But at least the crocodile has the good grace to cry while he's eating the hapless victim. Now, while this story is strictly myth, there are many things about crocodiles that we know are true. For example, unlike man, it kills neither for sport nor revenge. Territory and ritual rule crocodilian lives. One big male always dominates a river colony. He even controls who basks in the sun on the beach. He's the ultimate dictator. Any passing male must lift his head out of the water and expose his throat, signaling submission, or else face the consequences. And believe me, it's no trifle. I guess that's good reason to stay on the crocodile's good side if you can. Well, you've heard a lot of facts about crocodiles. So let's see how many you remember by playing Animal Quiz, and have fun with it. But see if you can answer these questions. Are you ready? Uganda is sometimes called the cradle of the Nile. Crocodiles were once found in abundance there, but in most cases have disappeared from previous habitats. On what continent is Uganda located? Is it South America, or perhaps Asia, or Africa? And of course, if you answered Africa, you got your geography question right. Once you get to Africa, if you're lucky, you might get to see some crocodiles in the wild. And if you do, you might want to know the answer to the following question. Try this one. When baby crocodiles are newly hatched, they head for the water without hesitation or help. Is that true or false? Did you guess false? Well, you're right. In fact, baby crocs are rather reluctant to enter the water. So their mothers lead them to a nursery area where she guards them for about 12 weeks. How you doing on your crocodile quiz? We could use some more croc experts, so keep on trying. Here's your next question. Crocodiles vary their behavior during the day, moving from the sunshine to the shade to the water and back. Why do they do this? To regulate their body temperature? Or maybe it's because they're restless? Or to find food? Well, the correct answer is A, to regulate body temperature. Being cold-blooded creatures, they must rely on outside sources for warmth. Well, have you answered all your questions right so far? Keep on trying. I'm looking forward to a lot of new crocodile experts out there. So now try this question. Female crocodiles begin laying their eggs about mid-December. The nesting sites are on the riverbank, but sometimes a female will desert her nest. Why? The ground becomes too damp? Humans disturb the females? Predators disturb the nest? Or all of the above? Well, if you said all of the above, you're getting to know crocodiles pretty well. I hope you enjoyed playing Animal Quiz. It's always a kick for me. You know, in many ways, this is a bad time to be a crocodile. They are difficult for scientists to study because they live in isolated and unpleasant places. But that doesn't seem to stop the hunters, for as many as 2 million hides a year are trafficked worldwide. This in spite of laws that have virtually closed the United States as a market for them. But with the help of concerned people and governments, perhaps their future will be brighter. After all, they've been around a lot longer than we have, and I'd like to have them stay. Thanks for joining us, and remember, be kind to animals. It's good for everybody.
Come on home where your good friends are waiting. Everything's shiny and new. Come where excitement is playing. Walt Disney and you.
Come home to all your good friends. Mickey, Donald, Goofy, Herbie, Alice, Winnie the Pooh, Mary Poppins, Pollyanna,
You have a stubby little nose.
and many more. You'll see your favorite heroes, including Zorro, Davy Crockett, the king of the wild frontier, and Condor Man, Disney's spy in the sky. But there's no escaping the Disney villains.
You call that murder? Lean on him. Am I in your way? He's not an agent of the CIA. He is a writer of comic books. Wait, don't nobody know this is a holdup.
That rotten car is driving me.
Fire that musket, and I cuts his throat.
Was that anyone we know?
He's your uncle?
Yes, that's why I happen to know Uncle Alonzo has a heart. Want a light?
You're invited to enter a world of excitement. Suspense.
What did you see?
Surprise. And laughter.
Oh, my God.
A world of tenderness.
Please try to understand, Pollyanna. You're such a part of our lives now. Nancy and Angelica, Mrs. Lagerlof. And I love you as if you were my own little girl. Won't you give me that chance? Please.
Tears.
Tony, we've got to get out of here before it's too late, please.
Adventure. And music.
Oh,
Even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. If you say it loud enough, you'll always sound precocious. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
And more laughter.
Hey, you mangy cur, come back with my car! Get him!
that shaggy dog just stole my car.
Roses and rainbows.
And more music.
You better take a look again.
That's just the way we like them.
It's magic. It's frightening.
Isn't this a clever disguise?
It's cute.
What are you supposed to be?
I'm a little black rain cloud, of course.
Silly old bear.
It's fun. And it'll take you by surprise. Are you ready for the Disney lineup?
You ready? I'm ready. You ready?
I'm ready. You ready?
I said I was ready.
Come on home. See what's waiting for you. Waiting for you. Come on home where your video's playing. Good times are waiting, it's true. Come where your family is waiting for Walt Disney and you. Walt Disney and you. Walt Disney and you.
Now available from Walt Disney Home Video.
Great!